Welcome to the Awaken, Heal, and Thrive podcast. I'm Benjamin Bernstein, and today's episode is called Can Free Will and Divine Will Be the Same Thing? This episode is sponsored by my book, the #1 Amazon bestseller called Instant Divine Assistance, your complete guide to fast and easy spiritual awakening, healing, and more. Just go to Amazon and search for Instant Divine Assistance or click the link in the show notes. I publish both audio and video versions of Awaken, Heal, and Thrive, so take your pick. The video versions are on my YouTube channel called Benjamin Bernstein Podcasts. Be sure to subscribe to Awaken, Heal, and Thrive wherever you get it. And if you have not already, be sure to click the link in the show notes for a free chance to win a full year of my Awakening Plus online membership. That's a $189 value, and I announce a new winner every month. So let me get on to this week's topic. A few years ago, I was in Cincinnati at a New Age kind of show, and I ran into Matt Kahn. And for those of you who don't know, Matt Kahn is a rather well-known spiritual teacher these days. And I had time to ask him one question. I said, Matt, I'm really struggling right now. I really want to do God's will, but it's hard for me to know if what I want for my ego level is the same as what God or my higher self wants for me. And how can I figure that out? And he looked at me and he said, hey, how do you know that Benjamin's will isn't God's will? And that actually raised more questions than it solved, but it planted that seed deeply. And in the coming years, as my awakening has deepened, I've learned a little more about what he meant. I have a favorite saying, which is a level of consciousness cannot comprehend a level beyond itself. His answer was way beyond where I was at that time. And now I'm getting a little bit closer. So here's my best understanding on how your ego will and divine will can naturally and easily become the same thing without having to struggle or make it hard. So it works like this. As your awakening deepens, the ego and the higher self merge more deeply. In fact, one of the foundational tools I teach is the embodied awakening invocation, which calls the higher self to come and merge with the human self. Even at a first try, a person can have this happen and say, yep, wow, yeah, I meet the checklist. There's no mental chatter. There's no challenging emotion. It's peaceful and it's effortless. And that is an embodied awakening, but there are infinite levels of embodied awakening. It's not just a one and done. My experience with having had a lock-in awakening way back in 2012, and now here it is 11 years later, and the awakenings are still going deeper. I'm beginning to wonder if awakening isn't an infinite progression, and no matter how awake you are, you can always go deeper. That's my current working hypothesis anyway. So over those years of my own awakening, what I've discovered is that in the early years, and certainly before awakening, my ego might have a certain impulse to do something, but I might get an intuitive hit about doing something different. And there was quite a bit of distance between sometimes what Benjamin wanted and what the divine part of me seemed to want. As those distinctions fade over time, as embodied awakening deepens more organically, if you have one end of a spectrum where the ego is just completely separate and oblivious to the higher self, and you have another spectrum on the far end where they're completely merged and there's no difference, at that far end of the spectrum, the idea of free will almost becomes ludicrous. The idea of free will implies that there is a separate ego wanting to do anything different than what the higher self would want to do anyway. The more separate you are from your divinity, there can be more distance between those two things. But as those merge more and more closely together, then the ego just naturally wants to do whatever the divine impulse is, because increasingly there's no difference between the two. I imagine ultimately, theoretically at least, there could be a state where there's a complete fusion of divine and personality. And even the idea of an independent ego thought arising would at that point be ludicrous, because there at that point, in a sense, is no separate ego at all. Yes, there's an ego. I mean, even the most awakened masters have personalities and characteristics like a human being has, but they embody that in a more profoundly blended state than most of us could imagine. So when you awaken deeply enough, there's simply no independently arising desire to do anything contrary to what divine will would want anyway. I guess that's my point. So if you've been trying to align with divine will through effort and discipline and those kind of ego-based tools, my own feeling these days is that may not be the best approach, because an ego cannot awaken itself, and ego effort to try to align with divine will in a way is perhaps a less efficient approach than just merging with the divine. And of course, my own bias strongly these days is to call the divine in to do it for you. Instead of the ego struggling for awakening itself, just the divine does it for me as I call it in by invocation, as I go into in my book. And then my own experience again over the years has been the more I merge, the more easily the ego and the divine are just more naturally aligned, and contrary impulses are becoming more and more rare. Maybe if there's a lesson for you here, depending on what level you're at, is if you've been putting a lot of effort and striving into trying to align with divine will, you might question, is that really the optimal approach? Is it better just to focus on the method that is most easily moving you into divine union, and then seeing if the alignment of personal will and divine will doesn't become just a natural byproduct of that state? So I rest my case. Thanks so much for letting me riff on this for a little bit. Earlier, I mentioned my Amazon #1 best-selling book, Instant Divine Assistance, Your Complete Guide to Fast and Easy Spiritual Awakening, Healing, and More. Now, it may sound too good to be true, but in this breakthrough book, as I've been alluding to in this podcast, you'll learn how fast and easy it can be to experience spiritual awakening within seconds, just by requesting it from your higher self, at least at that starter level. How to quickly and permanently heal a serious challenge, even one that's caused you years of physical, emotional, or mental suffering, by delegating the work to your inner healer. You can call in any kind of energy you want, anytime you want it. You can heal and bless others simply by calling it in and being a hollow reed. You can thrive in a new normal of harmonious living, enhanced intuition, joyous fulfillment of your responsibilities, and bliss. You can do all this and more with the Instant Divine Assistance invocations. I call those the IDA invocations for short. This book gives you everything you need to master them, plus you get free access to guided recordings and other valuable online support that will speed up your personal evolution. For over 11 years, actually more than 12 years now, the IDA invocations have dramatically improved thousands of people's lives. Isn't it time you also experienced how quick and easy spiritual awakening, healing, and more can be? Right now, the ebook is only $3.99, and it's included with Kindle Unlimited, and the paperback is only $12.99. I invite you to check it out. Also, Awakening Plus events support your individual healing and awakening, as well as global spiritual awakening. Not a member yet? Join one of our free events. 2 calls are open to the public each month. Experience how Awakening Plus, my online membership, can accelerate your personal evolution. We'd love to have you join our supportive online community. Awakening Plus is always evolving, but as of February 2023, members receive these exclusive benefits. 9 of our 11 Zoom calls each month are members only. There's an archive of over 500 life-transforming events with a best-of guide. There are 3 courses: Instant Divine Assistance, Fast and Easy Awakening and Healing. That's the course the book was based on. Also, there is Self-Guided Internal Family Systems Therapy and Your Divine Allies, Let Them Help You More. Every month, we have astrology mini readings calls, community support calls, Ask Us Anything calls, and office hour calls. We have a members helping members service. You can connect with an accountability partner to help you stay on track, and you will be constantly supported from the moment you join by the Awakening Plus group energy field. Learn about this at awakeningplus.com. That's awakeningplus.com. Thank you for being here. Once again, I'm Benjamin Bernstein, and we are wrapping up. Please leave me a 5-star rating, review, or comment wherever you're getting this episode so that others can also awaken, heal, and thrive. And be sure to click the link in the show notes for a chance to win 1 free year of my Awakening Plus online membership. Thanks again for spending this time with me. I wish you infinite blessings.